Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there any sauce in the house tonight? What's the motherfucking deal? Welcome to Sauce Sports. If you're not familiar with Sauce Sports is a Houston, Texas Homer network. And so that means we're talking all sports, but only Houston. But tonight we're going to kind of take a brief recap of the Texan season, some of the other things that are going on. I'm going solo tonight, and then, like I said, we'll get back to the round later on this week. Because with it being a bye week, you know, it's not a lot of stuff going on. If we talk about everything early on, then it'll get kind of dried up towards the end of the week. So, you know, I'll just talk about a couple of points tonight, and then we'll get back to the regularly scheduled programming as we get in it to win it. But I want to say shout out to everybody. Shout out to the round table. Shout out to the Patreon crew. And shout out to everybody who just holds down the flavor. Volume low. Okay, let me turn it up. Turn them shits up. Turn them up. Okay, hold on. Let me see where we at. Let me know how that is that if that's a little bit better for you. Still low? Still getting some low action? Because I've been trying to change up the settings on some shit. And trying to figure out. Alright, there we go. Still a lot of white noise. Because I've been trying to change to where I can actually hear what's going on, because like I'm trying to fix the picture with the phone. All right, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let's let me see. I'm gonna tweak a couple of things here. Hopefully this don't sound too crazy. Let me know how that sounds. You can still catch a lot of white noise on with it like this. Let me know what y'all got. What you hearing? What you hearing? Gucci? You Gucci-fied? Alright, so here's the deal. So, like I say, we've got a couple of things we're going to talk about. We've got a bunch of shit we're going to discuss. And we're going to get into, we're going to talk about, we're going to venture into a couple of things looking at this Texans team. You know, we're going to talk about, are they for real? Are they still getting a bunch of white noise? Let's see what we got going on here. Let's see what we actually got here. Let's see if we got here, and let's see. No, I mean, I'm gonna start powering up in a minute, but I'm just because I was tweaking with some shit beforehand. And I'm just trying to get, you know, like I said, I've been tweaking with some of the sounds and some of this shit, and just trying to get some of the shit right, because, you know, trying to figure out the problem with the phone, or if it's really the mixer, if I'm going to have to get another mixer, or what's going on, you know, because I've been doing some other little shit, making a couple other little upgrades. So I'm trying to decide if that's the problem, if that's going to be the issue. But we'll figure it all out. Like I say, it's no big deal. And so some of the sound on both ends has been kind of off the wall. Like I said, so I've been changing some shit up. But here's the deal, man. We're going to talk about a lot of shit tonight, man. We're going to get into a lot of things this evening. Just kind of looking at this Texas team, man. We're going to discuss whether or not this team is for real. We're going to talk about if, you know, this 6-game winning streak is legit. We're going to talk about what the Texans need to do in the near future. We're just going to try to take a look at this bye week to just kind of recuperate, you know. Take a step back, look at everything that's going on. You know, while the Texans are on a break, we're going to be on a break too. And just look at where we are so far this season and the situation that we've gotten into. But if you're fucking with the sauce, if you're loving the flavor, man, make sure you go by staysaucy.com. Check out some of that fresh Sauce Sports merch. Got some stuff coming for y'all this weekend. I know y'all been waiting. Trust me, I've been waiting for. I've been having to line out some other issues on the back end. And we finished to get real legit. It's going to get real legit real soon. So I appreciate y'all for being as patient with me as y'all can on that end. So it's going to be some merch. It's going to be some shit shaking. Trust me, I got a lot of love for y'all. But here's the deal. Jay, this is what's the motherfucking deal. But here's the deal, man. I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about how the season looks. I want to talk about, man, it's just a bunch we can talk about tonight. But here's the deal. We'll start off with we'll start off with the power rankings. You know, at this point, where we're at, and then we'll look into the season, and then we'll get a little bit deeper into some of it. So right now, you know, the three, I guess you would say, main sources of power rankings that people go to: ESPN, NFL, and USA Today. The NFL has us ranked in the top 10, and you know, you figure well, we got a good record. Who's the few ahead of us, and who why? The Saints, of course. The Patriots, of course. The Chiefs, of course. Then it falls to the Rams, who just took an L. You have the Chargers, the Panthers, the Steelers, the Vikings, the Bears, which bothers you because you're like, man, well, why are the Steelers, Vikings, and Bears all ahead of us? Because we have a better record than all those guys. Well, what you have to look at is probably the level of competition. You look at the Texans' record, 6-3 now, but only one of those wins has come against a team that has a winning record, and that one team being Miami, which was our most significant win so far this season in the sense of, putting points on the board, having an overall team win. So that's interesting. And then you have the Texans. Then you look at the ESPN rankings, whatever, that 4-letter network, however you feel about it. I don't really give a shit about them. They have theirs a little bit different. And again, ahead of us, they have New Orleans. I think the consensus is a lot of teams are looking at New Orleans as number 1 now. You have New Orleans, and they have Kansas City at number 2, the Rams at 3, New England at 4, the Chargers at 5, Carolina at 6. Yes, Pittsburgh, Minnesota are still both ahead of us. Interesting one I find is Philadelphia at 4-4. They have them ranked ahead of us, and they're using their excuses as injuries and stuff, but they're still going to be good. But we have injuries too, significant injuries, and we're not complaining about that. But it is what it is. And then Chicago, and then Houston at 11. And I want to know how y'all feel. But y'all let me know in that chat how y'all are feeling about these. Do y'all agree with the positioning that they have us? Do you think we should be higher? Do you think we should be lower? Again, I want to know your thoughts because we were we started out at we're 16 last week on ESPN, and then we jumped up to number 11, which is okay, I guess. And then you look at the USA Today, which is the lowest of all. And I think they had a 17th last week, and they've jumped us up to 13th. And you say, okay, 13 now, it's getting a little ridiculous. Then they have the Falcons ahead of us. They have, again, Saints, Rams, Patriots, Chiefs, Chargers, Steelers, Panthers, Vikings, Eagles, Bengals, and the Falcons ahead of us, and then the Bears, and then us. And I think the Bengals one is a little sketchy to me. I think the Eagles is sketchy too because they're a 500 team, regardless of what you were. I think ESPN is still lingering on some of that Super Bowl hangover. And then they're talking about because they picked up Golden Tate and things like that. I don't think the Eagles should be ranked higher than us in power rankings. I feel like if you got a team maybe one win less, I can comprehend. A team that's an equal ranking, equal victory, I can understand because again, at any given Sunday, anything can happen. Because we are talking about the same Steelers who end up tying the Browns earlier this season. So I mean that's an interesting conversation to have if you want to have it. But I think I agree. You are what your record says you are, and Philadelphia is a 500 team at this point. And yes, you can say a win is a win, and I agree. Some of these wins are very sketchy, but when they were happening, it was a different conversation about some of these teams. And then, some of these losses one of the losses is to a team that a lot of people have ranked, in the top 3, in the Patriots. And that's a conversation we could have about that. But again, we'll talk about that as we kind of look more into the record and how we are where we are right now. But again, with Miami being the only winning record, you could look at that as, but then you beat who you're supposed to beat. And then we took a loss to a team we took actually 2 losses to teams we should have beaten, which is the Titans and the Giants. So, and I can understand how outside of Houston, I can see how the rest of the nation feels kind of sketchy. I can understand how the rest of the nation feels a particular way. I got this seat down so fucking low. Let me get up on that ass. So I can understand why people feel the way they feel, and so I have no real complaints. I'm not gonna get all upset about it. I mean, we already know. We talk about the national media and this motherfucker all the time, and how they're never gonna give Houston respect. They're never gonna give us the love that we want. I mean, we could go undefeated. They probably still have us at 3 or some shit. Well, they play in the AFC South, and the AFC South just hasn't been looking as strong this year. But again, you can only play who's on your schedule. People will still use that last place thing against you a lot. When in reality, the last place schedule is 2 teams, 2 games. And that's really all that changes. But let's just look at how this team started off. Again, pardon me, burped a little bit. You can look at that Patriots game. It was a 7-point victory in Foxborough. It's not like they came out. They had a solid lead on us. And you got to look at how we put them in that position, though. Again, that turnover in the beginning of the game gave them short field position. They were able to score easily. It's not like they were just driving the ball. It's not like they were just mashing us like that throughout the entire game. We kind of just gave them a freebie. And, even though we did get a turnover ourselves, our defense still wasn't playing up to par. That wasn't the J.J. Watt you see today. That wasn't the Jadeveon Clowney you see today. That's coming off of a preseason without playing the starters. And I know that injury and health risk are a concern. But it was funny because Andre Johnson had a little interview, and he was just kind of talking about it and said that, that's why he liked to play in the preseason. You need to have at least 2 solid games under your belt in the preseason because it's hard to get acclimated to the feel of the game without that. So I think that there was a lot of rust in that Patriots game. Had the Texans had another approach, starting off the season, then, maybe we have a different situation. And then you go on to the Titans. And the Titans' loss was just inexcusable. Ran a lot of wildcat, a lot of direct snaps and things of that nature. Didn't even really use their quarterback. Honestly, that victory came because of that lucky fucking pass. The fact that they were willing to take a couple of risks and those things panned out for them. And, it was what it was. We were there in Tennessee. They probably seeped some meth smoke into the locker room, had the Texans all high and fucked up. You know how it is in Meth Mountain. You can't control that. But that was a loss that should have been a win. Honestly, and I honestly feel like this team should be like, it should be an 8-1 team. But the Patriots lost the only one. I'll give it to them handily. They just weren't ready for that. There's no excuse to losing to the Titans. And the Giants. How do we lose to the Giants? They're trash, man. They're garbage. And we were that victory on their schedule. That's awful. And this team just was not. I don't know what it was. This team was just not having it. But then you start looking at the victories we got, and still you felt like, okay, at this point it's a month in. The rust excuse is no longer good. These guys have been playing full games. These guys have been playing. We're a month into the season. You talk about the Colts game. Now, a lot of people say, well, the Colts made a bad decision. Well, here's the deal. Either way it goes, the Colts had to make a decision, okay? And sometimes you make good decisions, sometimes you make bad decisions. You can't, discredit that victory. It is what it is. The same way, because I guarantee you when we sit here and we complain about, Bill O'Brien's game management decisions cost us this and they cost us that, do you think other teams are complaining about that? Absolutely not. No one else is complaining about, well, that coach made a bad decision, so we should. Nobody does that, just us. And I think that's where we kind of have a problem as Texans fans. Like, I've been doing some thinking since the last stream. And my thing is just like, as Texans fans, do we have this sense of entitlement just because we've been, for the last, 5-6 years or whatever, and it's been on and off, but pretty much been kind of dominating the AFC South, been kind of running it for the most part. We had an off year last year due to injuries and everything. But, we're back in the front in the driver's seat this year. If we stay the course, we could probably give up another 1 or 2. And, you look at the teams on the schedule, really don't have to, but it's a possibility. Honestly, could win out. But, it's the NFL. And, you're talking about a 13-game win streak. That's you really hanging your hat on something. But, there's going to be a loss here or there. It's just going to happen. But yet we've done nothing past the divisional round. And yet we put ourselves in this conversation, well, the Patriots don't do this. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it was a win. I'm going to take that fucking win. Like, there's no reason to complain about that fucking loss. Like, you can be critical and say, okay, hey, this is where we messed up. But we do that after every win and every loss. But to deny the win, that's terrible. To be mad about a win, that's terrible. Because ultimately there's one goal, and that's to get to the postseason. So I can't understand being mad about anything that would negate your ability, to get to the postseason. That's crazy to me. So my thing, yeah, I'd rather win. I don't care if it's a point. I don't care if it's anything because, the same way, well, he missed that field goal. That's the only reason, we lost. Okay, well, you could look at it the same way by saying, oh, buddy missed an extra point. That's the only reason they had a chance to win. How much more likely is it to miss a field goal than it is an extra point? So, I mean, you can look at that shit so many different ways, and that's why I'm saying, like, let's take what we can get because we'd have took any of these kind of wins last year. Now we're like, just because we got a little streak together, we this and this, we mad. That doesn't make sense to me. But getting back into it, the Colts game, it is what it is, man. I'll take that. I'll take that victory because, hey, it was good to have a 1 in that W column as opposed to that 0. It was getting bad for a second. Then you look at Dallas. And Dallas, people say the same thing. Oh, it was a play call. It was this. And, Dallas went for it. And if that's the reason why. I'm going to tell you one thing. Fans are crazy. We're going to be like I say, I love y'all, but y'all crazy. I'm crazy. Because the Colts fan been first for so long. But my thing is this, man. Like the Dallas game. Do you think that the players felt, it's because of that we won, so we really should. No, fuck no, man, because it's easy. Again, when you don't have skin in the game, I talk about this a lot, man. I've been in games, and I've never played professionally. But if you played high school, if you played Pee Wee League, if you played whatever and barely won, you'll take that win. Nobody's still going to complain about if it's 1 point, if it's a fluke, if it's a whatever it may happen. You get that W. If you out there putting in that work, you are going to take that win no matter how it comes because that's the reward for your efforts. So my thing is this. I haven't even been looking at what's going on. I can see what's happening with that. Beto got the hurt lip, man. He was just skateboarding at the Whataburger. But then you look into that Dallas game. I'll take that. The Bills game, again, we complain about Peterman coming in and, throwing the picks. That's the only reason we won it. Peterman gets paid just like anybody else. Do you think anybody complained last year when they got those victories on us? When Savage was playing, when Heineke was playing, when TJ Yates was playing? Like, do you think anybody said, the only reason we beat the Texans is because, No. Nobody said that. That's why I say it's crazy the things that we say as Texans fans. And appreciate the win. You can be critical, but let's not diminish the win in any way, form, or fashion. That's crazy to me. Then we go to Jacksonville and have a solid game. Yeah, Kuti should be back. He's talking about. I'm a little worried about it, but he's saying he's not going to get back on the field till he's 100%. So he said he's taking full advantage of the bye and to get healthy. And so that's important. That's essential. But my thing is, again. 1 second. What you call it? Right? Okay, there you go. All right, cool with this. Because my thing is this, man. Wins don't come easy. Wins don't come easy at all. No, and that's what I'm saying. But there's nothing wrong with criticizing. But at the end of the day, to complain about being victorious is what baffles me. Like, hey, we could have done a lot better in a lot of aspects. But, you know what I mean? It could be a different story. Exactly. So the Jacksonville game was a solid win, a solid victory. And I'm going to point some things out here in a minute. Because you got to look at these, and I want to say, actually, I should have stopped at the Dallas game. Because that Jacksonville game is where things started to happen. Well, Bills game things started to happen a little bit differently. I think Bill O'Brien got smarter after the Bills game. Well, no, actually got smarter during the Bills game, even though it wasn't that great of a win. Because if you looked at Pats game, Titans game, Giants game, Colts, and Dallas, during those games, Deshaun Watson was throwing for 40 passes a game. I think he had like a 45-er. They were up there, but he was averaging like 38 passes a game during that season. Turnovers, sometimes multiple turnovers, fumbles, interceptions. And I'm not saying that's all he did. I'm not saying, Deshaun's trash. That's not what I'm saying. But you realize when the turnovers started declining, it's been the last, 3 weeks without a turnover. The Bills game, I want to say it was. There was one. Yeah, that's when he went deep in the end zone. And I think that's when he had the 2. But since then, it's been minimizing Deshaun's usage in the sense of we're not going to set him back there behind that O-line, and this is another reason why the O-line is looking better. And this is why people don't give Bill O'Brien his credit. It's easy to insult him and say, oh, we need to do. But what Bill O'Brien is doing is keeping Deshaun healthier. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, what you got to understand is this. By him limiting Deshaun in passing plays, this is limiting Deshaun getting his block knocked off, knowing that we have a line who has played good the last couple of games, yes. But again, you have to look at the reason why. That's why we've been going so run heavy. And then a couple of those games, like I say, not the Broncos game, but, the Jags and the Dolphins game, Lamar was running excellent, is because we're going to kind of take the ball out of Deshaun's hands a little bit because we're going to keep him safe because that's what we have to do because we need him long term. And I'm telling you, Greg Max is the lick, baby. When you took Greg out, the fucking running game started looking suspect. But that's what you have to think long term. Now we're in a situation where we have control of shit. Okay, hey, let's try to keep our quarterback safe. We're looking at it. We have an eye on this postseason now. Okay, we have a reason. We have an eye on looking towards the playoffs. But again, it's everybody mad. Oh, why are we taking out Deshaun? Because we don't want Deshaun getting hurt. Because what happens, and you can say run the short routes, we can say those things, but either way it goes, when the opportunities are, Deshaun will still sit on the ball. We saw that last game that he sat on the ball a little bit. When he had those opportunities, he'll hold the ball a little while. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but he's looking for that home run. He's looking for the big play, and I'm not mad at him for that. I'm not upset at him for that because that's what makes him who he is. I'd rather that than 17. I'd rather that than Savage. I'd rather that than any of these other guys because we've seen what the other style of play does, and so I'm okay with that. But my thing is this though, excuse me, is Bill O'Brien's doing what he's doing for a reason. Again, these guys see things in practice we don't see. We can only speculate. We can only assume. We can only complain in game because it's not working. But when this same style of coaching is working, you know what I'm saying, we don't complain about it. We don't even talk about it. We just give credit to the players. See, that's the funny thing about coaching is when it works, it's never the coach that gets credit. It's never, oh man, Bill O'Brien, that was excellent play calling. That was he drew up an excellent. I'm talking about excellent Mexicans. I don't know what I'm saying over here. Excellent play. You know what I'm saying? It's always, man, so and so did this, so and so did that. It's never the coaching. It's always the players. And so my thing is, you just got to understand that there's probably a different game plan going on. There is a different game plan going on. And so what you have to do is, you just have to let it. If it's winning, if it's working, don't change it, man. And my thing when I was talking about that, I was thinking about the running in Denver, and initially I was like, man, what the fuck is B.O.B. doing? And you eventually figure that it wouldn't have been as bad as it was. It was terrible. But if you look at it, what was that, like the first two runs of the game? I want to say Lamar had a nice break, and then Blue also had a nice one. I think they both had nice breaks about first down. And then after that, it just fell off. Honestly, as a coach, especially when you want to establish that running game, you don't think that your guys are going to run that bad. You're hoping to see another one of those here. There's one of those little 12-yard runs. You're hoping to see another one of those 10-yard runs here and there. Nobody sat there and imagined that, okay, it's going to be we're going to run for negative yards all game long. Here and there, you're expecting a pop, but it wasn't a push. And again, if you go back and look at that, it was a lot of fucking missed blocking assignments. I'm going to say Akins was missing some blocking assignments. On the same note, I will say Thomas knocked on that TE pass. Thomas knocked Von Miller on his ass. But we talk about the little ranking situation. There was a lot of little things that go on, and I'm not saying it's all execution because you have to figure out if something's not working. You probably need to adjust. But I think the man had a feeling that okay, if we keep running this same shit, it popped early. It's going to have to pop again eventually. But again, so I'm still not happy with it, but I try to find understanding in things. I try to come up with a reason or an understanding why people do the shit that they do. And I guess I'm trying to justify it, but whatever. But speaking of Bill O'Brien, excuse me, Webb was out there as a receiver on a player too, if I wasn't mistaken. And so they need to find. They definitely need to find a way to implement him into the game plan. So I definitely agree with that. But I want to say he was out there for a player too at receiver. I love Webb on special teams, man. I love fucking Webb on special teams. But my thing is, did y'all hear about, or again, I don't know if there's audio. I think it's a bad lip reading. But even if he did say it, I don't give a fuck. Everybody was complaining about Bill O'Brien apparently saying, Vance, thank you, Vance, you stupid fuck, or something like that. And I'm wondering, like, me, I don't give a shit. I'm glad to know that the motherfucker can talk shit, because I just thought he was incapable of doing it, you know. But I think he plays like a role for the media. I think Bill O'Brien's a different guy with, when the cameras aren't around and shit like that. But you know what I mean? Yeah, good job, Vance. I have no problem with it. Oh, you saw Denver fan. He was just classless. I would never. He said, dumb fuck. He said he was talking to a special team player. Either way, like, I don't care. I hope he was talking to Vance. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck, it was a stupid fucking, man. Come on, man. Like, come on, guy. You know what I'm saying? Not a good role model for his son. Man, look, this is the game of football, and I'm tired of how soft this game. Okay, so I got a question, because I was working on some stuff last night, and I kind of had kind of later in the game, I had the Cowboys game on the other little screen. And I was just glancing back and forth. Was I tripping? Because, like I said, I know different sources have different commercials. So I don't know if people were watching it live, but I was watching it through Xfinity or whatever. Was I tripping, or were there a lot of fucking women's clothing commercials? Some shit about you want to work out, but you want to look cute, and then it was like some shoes shit, and it was like, I mean, just back to back to back to back. Like, no, and I'm serious, because there's a point, and this is why I'm saying this, because you would never ever see commercials directed directly at women, and it's not because I'm sexist, but it might be a little sexist, but this is not the reason why I'm sexist. But you would never see commercials directed directly at women, directed at women, and because, man, it came on like back to back to back to back, and it was just like, my shoes are sexy, and my whatchamacallit is this, and my whatchamacallit is this, and because God damn, Steve, because Cowboys fans like to cross dress. That makes sense. Exactly. Thank you, Texas T. And that's what it is. That's letting you know why the NFL is getting softer. That's the point that I was getting to. Because there has to be, for them to, for businesses to say, okay, we're going to target specifically women, means there has to be a significant number of women. Why not go target something on Oprah's network, or what's the other shit? Is it with Oxygen, or what was the original women's channel? Lifetime or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Women's clothing commercials for fucking stretchy yoga pants and shit like that, and then fucking like a shoe commercial. Because I was like, at first I heard him because I always look for odd shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always look for odd shit, because I try to find little. I try to do something different. Because like I say, this ain't analysis. This is commentary. You know what I mean? You know, eventually we'll do some analysis, but I like commentary over analysis, because, you know, when you analysis, you got to be straightforward and all that. Commentary, you get to interject some of your opinion and shit in there, and that's what I like to do, is interjecting more of my opinion than just sit here talking about, well, this play, you know, this happened, let's do a breakdown. I don't care about that. I want to talk shit. But so I'm watching the shit, and I'm just sitting here like, man, what the fuck is going on with all these women's clothing commercials? That lets you know that this is why there's a large female segment of the population watching more and more NFL, because you would never see this shit. The best you would get was some chunky soup. And now, I mean, entire commercials or commercials that would be unisex. If it wasn't a men's product, it was something unisex. And now it was like 3 or 4 commercials in a row directly for women. And so I'm like, man, that has to let you know something, man. It has to. That's crazy. But I mean, so I just thought that was odd. Just at my little tangent on that. I don't know if I was the only one tripping. You know what I'm saying? You know, it is what it is. I don't know. I heard De La Hoya might be a Cowboys fan. Who knows? But the stupid fuck comment was okay with me. I want to talk about Demarius though. just a little bit. Am I calling women chunky? Yes, I said it. The chunky women. Those commercials will be even more so when the San Antonio gets a team, because the mayor in San Antonio said in 10 years they're gonna have a team. But my thing is, Demaryius in Denver. I think that was interesting. I think that was a very interesting situation, because immediately after the game, I'm saying he had to go pee. You know what I'm saying? He would just wait for the game to be over. You know, he had to go pee. But he ran directly off the field. And I think there was a lot of feelings and stuff involved. But he came out today and did an interview. And he was just kind of talking about Elway. He was talking about Vance Joseph. And, you know, that's some Mark shit if it did happen. Tomorrow's at the gym like Planet Finny. Hell, yeah. You know, it's some Mark-ass shit. Denver's some hoes if that's the case. And this is one thing that I will give Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is, I feel like, pretty blunt with the players. If he did tell Case that, you know, I mean, hey, the way I look at you, you're probably not going to be nothing more than a third-string guy. Okay, snip, we cut you. Ah, well, fuck it. We ain't got nothing else going on. We'll bring you back. He was talking about how they basically told him that they were not going to trade him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It just like say just on some whole shit. I didn't even catch the captain part, but told him that he wasn't going to be traded. Told him like nah, and then basically he's already getting rumors from his agent, you know, his people around the way and all that other shit, and then they just saying like we're talking about Demaryius Thomas. And basically the rumors are going, the fucking calls are coming and all that shit's going on. But they tell him, nah, we wouldn't trade you. We're never going to trade you. Nah. Basically, Vance lied to his face. Elway lied to his face. Like, you know, that's not the man thing to do, man. Hey, look, hey, this is how we feel. You know, this is the situation. And he talked about how they were trying to get these other younger receivers in. He's talking about, you know, everything that he had done. And, you know, the way they tried to just kind of squeeze him out was on some Mark shit. I really feel like, you know what I'm saying? I think that's really some Mark shit. You know what I'm saying? Getting to bend over. But my thing is like, yeah, that's why I say I want him. He's like, you know what it is? Well, they are where they are, and, you know, I'm over here now, and it's a new program, and I'm glad that he feels that way, because I feel like he's going to want to prove something, and he has something to prove. One, the way he was treated. Two, you know, new opportunity where he can thrive. Gary Clark, I like what Gary Clark is bringing to the table. We ain't talking about no Rocks, right? We'll do a pregame tomorrow, though. But my thing is, yeah, I mean, he's a stand-up dude. You could just tell by his character, the way he's operating. And he was saying, they were talking about, you know, that he said before he got shipped up out of there, you know, he felt like, I think the last 10 days or so that he was there, he called his mom. I think she stayed out in Georgia. And, you know, just told her to come through. And she stayed out there with him a while, and then, you know, ended up getting shipped off about 10 days later or something like that. So to me, he's a real dude, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. And I think that, one, Bill O'Brien, he knew what he was doing. But at the same time, I think Bill O'Brien, like I say, his play calling could be whatever you feel. You know what I mean? I think sometimes he gets too smart for his own good. You know, again, those guys from Brown and shit like that, the smart guys. But my thing is this. The players love Bill O'Brien. You can't prove me wrong, because even you got to look at last year when the chips were down and out. A lot of those games were a lot closer than people want to give. You know what I'm saying? Like then people want to give it. Like, yeah, we lost a bunch of games. You know what I'm saying? But some of those games were one-score games, and you got to look at who we had out there on the field. So those guys were still out there playing hard for Bill O'Brien until, you know, the season was over with. And I think that they like him now. Once you start losing, you know, I think that's a thing, but I think to bounce back with this, you know, 6-game streak, I think that the teams I think they're back. I mean, because it could just be a thing. I mean, it's just like, hey, man, look, coach got to do something. He getting paid too. You know, it's not like a high school program or anything like that. It's a different thing. It's a business, because, you know, if I'm out there not performing as a player, they're gonna ship my ass. If the coach ain't performing, I don't know, big dog. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just something you got to consider. But I want to get back to the record situation. Oh, but did y'all catch? You know, and this could have been something that could have been happening years earlier. I mean, it could have been an Andre one. But did y'all see Peyton Manning's kids in the Texans jersey? The fucking who wanted Bob fire? I never said I wanted to fire Bill O'Brien. I always asked the question. There was a lot of people wanted to fire Bill O'Brien, but that's not you will not catch that, y'all. You can go back and scan through all the streams. You will not catch me saying that one again, because I try to look at things a little bit differently. I thought that was kind of dope, man. Yeah, was talking. You thought you ignored me. Oh, yeah, Jimmy, welcome back, Jimmy T. Exactly, and that's my thing. That's why I tell y'all I'll forever have disdain on Kubiak, because Kubiak had the pull to have Manning come to Houston. Then he backdoors and goes and wins one with him, and people want to give him credit for that. You know what I'm saying? So, not me. I give Peyton more credit than I give Kubiak on that one. But also, I kind of want to look at some of these games, man, and I want to talk about that offense, and I want to talk about Bill O'Brien, and people making these complaints about what he's doing. And again, the complaints are valid; they're understandable. You say Dre's about to throw a fit to get pizza at the bar. All right, catch that. No, Kenneth, I'm not opening the sauce line for you. I'm opening it for everybody but you. But my thing is, I want to look at this, and I want to say, and I might have to. Might have to text in on the sauce line, because like I said, I rearranged some stuff earlier, and if all that white noise was coming in, it may be the same. Let me see. Let me check. I'm gonna tweak it here in a second, and we'll test it out. But my thing is this: just kind of look at this game, and for over half the season, we've been missing Kuti. And like, again, you got to think about the couple of games he did play. Went out early, won. You look at that Patriots game, missing Will Fuller. That's essential. Against a team like the Patriots, you need all your pieces. You need Will Fuller. I think, what is this, 2 seasons in a row that we haven't had him? And they've been close games. So you look at that, and now Will Fuller's gone for the rest of the year. But he's an integral part of the offense. He's the guy that takes that pressure off of DeAndre Hopkins and allows him to do what he does. So part of that is you got to look at that Bill O'Brien's offense is limited. You're talking about, hey, this is what we've practiced all preseason. This is what we've planned all preseason. Will Fuller's balling out. Will Fuller's doing this, and this. Will Fuller can't play game 1. Kiki Kuti's balling out all preseason. Kiki's doing this, doing that. Okay, well, I'm Bill O'Brien. Okay, well, let me implement this. I got this in my game plan for Kiki. I got this in my game plan for Fuller. These are guys I'm looking to highlight. Of course, Hopkins will do what he do. Oh, well, two of my premier guys in my offense are unavailable. So there's that. Okay, Fuller comes back, and he starts contributing right away. No problem with that. You still don't have Kiki, who's a guy that you need for a while, and I think that's an issue. Because I think when we saw what he did with that first game back, that I feel like that there's a big role for Kiki in the production of this to take away, to create certain plays that will open up that running game, because there's a lot of shit you can do with him out of the backfield that will create that space and make the defense respect that gentleman, because again, he's a fast guy, but that damn hamstring, I don't know about it. You say the best record after the half of the league, and that's what I'm saying. And that's the thing. I think we play one more game with the Rush Colors. I think we're planning to play one more game with the Rush Colors this year, so that should be interesting to see how that plans out. But again, like I say, there's pieces that are missing. So, we want this high-powered offense. We want to see this high-flying offense, but yet all of our pieces can't stay healthy at the same time, and I think that's part of the problem. You got to look at, I forgot which game it was that Lamar was out. It's just little things here and there that attribute to shit. I think finding the right tight end. Griffin missed a couple of games. The young guys, we all know Bill O'Brien doesn't trust the young guys. We've seen some of the issues with some of the rookies, but I think Jordan Thomas has kind of solidified himself as the future at tight end. I don't know what the situation is going to be with Griffin, from here on out. I definitely think Jordan Thomas is a guy that I'd like to see get more snaps. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. Good question. I seen some better mention some things earlier. But what we're going to do is I'm gonna speak on this next point, and then I'll try to test, see if we can get the sauce line activated and rolling. But I want to talk about the future. I want to talk about the future of this team, man. Because you play well, you get paid well. You got a couple of guys that are coming up on contract. We love what Honey Badger's doing for this team, and Honey Badger's already, shout out to Wise, he had dropped in the chat. Some guys were talking crazy about, you pay such and such and don't pay him, let Honey Badger walk or something. Honey Badger pays. I love Honey Badger's social media. He's like the fucking Derek Lewis of the Texans. No, he don't go that far. He'll be posting crazy shit on Instagram as far as I know, but he don't give a fuck. He gonna tell you how he fucking feel. And there was some guys talking, I guess, on Twitter. He chimed in like, y'all don't know shit. And so I love that. I love the shit that he brings to this team. And again, you got people getting mad. Well, he shouldn't talk like that. Why the fuck not? Why are you allowed to talk a certain way, but the players can't say the shit they want to fucking say? Like, in the end game, we're all human beings. Just because this motherfucker makes a lot of money for playing a game, whose fault is that? That's nobody's fault. Like, that doesn't allow, well, I get to critique him, he can't say nothing. Yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you want to say about you. Like, that's how the world works. But people don't get that shit, man. And it baffles me that people get offended. The shit that people get offended by, man, like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a lot of shit that I don't like, but I'm not going to sit here and get offended by the shit. You know, but it is what it is. But talking about people you got to pay at the end of the year, you got Honey Badger, you got Jadeveon Clowney, and you have Kareem Jackson. Now, Honey Badger, I think they're gonna seal a deal with Honey Badger. I think he's gonna get paid. I'm not worried about that because you've seen just the energy, the leadership, and everything that he's brought to the table. And I think that honestly, it's going to be interesting what the price is going to be. But I ultimately think that Jadeveon Clowney gets paid. But then you got to look at a guy like Kareem Jackson, and you got to start thinking, okay, now do I think this is a one-year anomaly? No, I don't think that was a one-year anomaly. I think that he's learned something. I mean, he's put it together too consistently throughout the season this year. They got him ranked as like the number 2 corner in the league. If it comes down to it, who do you pay? And do you use the tag on one of these guys? Would you tag Kareem, see if he replicates it another season? Now, if you do that, I think you're paying him. You're going to be paying him some. It depends on if you're paying him at a corner or a safety, and I think that comes into it too. But I think if you're paying him at corner, that's what, 13, 14, 15 mil, something like that. So it's going to definitely be a chunk of change to do it. You think Jackson will stay home with a hometown discount? Man, I would hope so. Like I said, if they can work out a long-term contract, I'll take it. Because if anything else, you know one thing, Kareem Jackson's going to smash on somebody. Now, that's a good and a bad because you see how hard he be lighting these motherfuckers up and you get concerned sometimes. But shit, I guess he's built stoutly. So it must be okay because he's flipping the big boys too. He making motherfuckers cut cartwheels in the middle of the field and shit. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens if they try to, seal and hit the franchise tag on him. Clowney, you got to look at it. Younger guy. You know what I'm saying? What is Clowney? What, 25, 26 years old now? And you gotta look at, what is he, 25, 26? I don't know. I have to look back up. Again, like I say, younger guy, and you know the potential of what he can do. You know that he's respected around the league. You saw that the Rams were trying to reach out for him. But the rumor has been, and we've been talking about that for quite some time, is that the Texans made an offer to him prior to the season. And he was like, nah, I'm chill on that. I'm going to go ahead and gamble on myself. We talked about that heavily early in the year. We talked about that through those first couple of games where Clowney wasn't really performing. And then, man, appreciate the love, Rex Appeal. So you're welcome. My wife hates me now. But tell her it's all love. Tell her stay saucy. It's all good. So like I say, man, I think that you gotta. It's a tough decision to make. You know what I mean? I think it's a tough decision to make. You say if Grady's going to give him to the Rams, you think they give him a contract? And I can understand that because I think that there would be a risk of letting him walk, and you would say, well, shit, we could at least got something back for him. Depending on what the Rams were offering. But I don't know what picks the Rams had left to offer and shit. But yeah, Kareem's going to be all pro this season. He's balling. He's fucking balling. And then what you got to realize too is, again, the cap goes up, the money goes up. And I know a lot of people complained last year, well, the Texans aren't spending no money. All these big name free agents we could have went and got. I mean, that's why I say, you don't always get emotional about the shit in the moment. You got to look at the long game. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at the long-term situation. You can't be happy about us having a whole bunch of money this next offseason and then complain that we didn't spend money last year. You know what I mean? because that shit don't make sense. Because we would have went out and got these guys that everybody wanted, the Norwells and the Soldiers and all these other guys. We could have did all that shit. You know what I'm saying? We could have did all that shit and fucking been broke this year coming up. Then can't afford, you know, one of these guys who are balling out of control now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they offer picture too. Oh, nah, yeah, we want that shit. We want that. Look, we still in the 20 teens. You know, we got a year left. We need that. We need that next year pick shit. Really? Beto's actually winning right now? Interesting. I didn't really think he had a chance. I think we'll have to talk about that in the den tonight. Again, if y'all ain't a part of the den, make sure y'all slide in the den. The den is another channel where we talk about more open-ended conversation, no matter what side you feel. You know, we all friends in the den. And like I say, you know, sometimes people agree or disagree, but it's all about having an understanding. So make sure y'all check that out. Show some love to the den. We'll be back on that tonight too. But my thing is this though. You know, you got to look in a situation where, again, where you have to pay these gentlemen, and if we would have spent all that money last year, you got some people who are going to definitely be walking. So now you're looking at, hey, we got a young core, the fucking picks that Grain had outside of Rankin, and I told y'all what I thought about Rankin. I don't like him on the field now, and I told y'all why, because the guy didn't have any OTAs, he didn't have any preseason, and then you throw him out there. Again, I understand the limitations at lineman that you have, but he's not ready. I mean, you're just trying to throw him into the fire and hope that he was going to catch on. That's not going to work. Now, do I think in his second, maybe third year, he could possibly pan out? Possibly so. Linemen are used to, in college, being able just to dominate. Usually used to being the strongest guys on the field and just kind of, you know, working people however they want to. You come into the NFL, everybody's strong, everybody's fast, everybody can whoop your motherfucking ass. And, you know, he had no time to adjust to that. He didn't get to practice. He didn't get to really go up against anybody. He didn't get that experience. And so I think that hindered him because he was way behind everybody else. Now, he has tenacity. Appreciate you, Eldon, the freshest motherfucking ingredient. And I think that's another thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, Broderick. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't realize, had Chantrell been healthy, we're talking about a whole different situation, especially start off the year. It goes down early, but one of the fucking first or second drive, you're talking about a different conversation. Because after that shit, what happened? Watson starts getting annihilated. Henderson was not looking bad, because you got to think about this. You know, people been saying they saw JJ in the preseason, he was looking good. You know, he was looking like he was going to be back to JJ. They were saying all that good stuff. And, you know, as fans, we were like, we don't know. But you see that he is looking back to that form. And they were saying that JJ and Chantrell were actually having some battles. That JJ and Chantrell were fucking, you know, they were kind of going back and forth with it. So that tells you if he could hang even, you know, 40% of the time with JJ, 30% of the time, then you're going to be able to dominate the majority of other linemen in this league. Again, having experience in the league, just understanding, you know, your responsibilities as an O-lineman, it's much different. You're a lot more thrown on you when you're a rookie. It's hard to understand. First, you're acclimating to the speed of the league. You're trying to learn these plays. This is all a lot of new shit to you. The youngsters aren't ready. And yeah, and again, it was just a fucked up situation. I'll give Gain credit for that. I'll give credit for that pickup because he was looking good. It was just a situation where freak fucking injury, super unfortunate. So the way I look at it is, I'm not mad at anything Gain has done other than a ranking pick. Jermaine Kelly Jr. was a 7th round. I'm not even going to complain about that. Reed turned out to might be one of the steals of the draft. I mean, he's like one of the most secure tacklers in the league, not as a rookie, but in the league. So, I mean, just looking at that. And so with the money game, he was smart too. So I have no problems with, you know, being cheap on the front end and, you know, hey, you know, we reap the benefits. You know, we see what we're working with this year, and then we'll have some money to try to make some upgrades to see what we can do with it. And I think he'll find a way to finesse some more interesting things with that whole situation. So, again, make sure I got everything that I wanted to speak on. This is what we'll do. We'll try to see if we can get this sauce line acting right, because I know it's been some issues here with the sound early on. So we'll see if I can get the situation going. But again, y'all can always text the sauce line. The text line is always open. And, you know, if you got some points or some things that you want to share, if y'all don't have the number, which if y'all been fucking with the flavor, y'all should know. Well, shit ain't even show up. I'm talking shit. That shit ain't even pull up. Ain't that a bitch? There we go. So y'all should know. Let me go pull it back up one more time. This shit popped up quick and then bounced. Y'all can text the sauce line. I will try and open it up, see if we can get some audio. Actually, I know what we'll do. This is what we'll do. We'll get a little ratchet with it like we did last time. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Un segundo. And we will. We just gonna stretch it out. You know, so y'all have to catch the edge of that bitch. Let me see where we at. Oh, look, Simpson Ken been waiting. He the first one trying to blow it up and missed his call. I ain't even activated it yet. You can call back, Kenneth. Say, would you rather draft OL or DB in the first out of the draft? Offensive lineman if possible. I know the corner situation is interesting. But then again, I don't know who's available next year. I don't know. I know there's a couple of corners they said that should be good. And it's going to be interesting because I think you always have guys that fall that you don't expect. Let's see what we got going here. Kenneth, what's the motherfucking deal, man? What you want to drop on the sauce line? You've been waiting patiently. What you want to drop on the sauce line tonight?
Man, I just wanted to speak on a couple of things, you know. Like, one of the things that I wanted to point out is that, you know, but it's about the Denver game. Like, you know that before the season we said that, hey, the Denver game, it might be a toss-up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised at this point because we've been said before the season this might be a game, I mean, that we might win or we might lose. So, like, so it's like, you know, we shouldn't be, like, really surprised at the outcome, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, we shouldn't really be mad because we knew we would struggle because we're not a good matchup for Denver. So we shouldn't really be that mad about it now that I'm thinking about it. But but another thing that I wanted to say is, like, y'all need to stop thinking these players are going to take hometown discounts. Like, I know we get it. We want these players to do it, but this is a business, bro. So Kareem Jackson is going to be a first-team All-Pro this season. The way he's playing, he's on pace for like 90-some fucking tackles, like 60 interceptions, some crazy shit like that. Kareem, he's going to be an All-Pro. Tyrann Mathieu, he's going to be a Pro Bowl. The way he's playing, we got 2 Pro Bowl safeties that we're going to have to pay this year. Clowney, his contract is coming up. You know what I'm saying? So all that, and y'all know, I know someone in the chat is probably saying that Kareem Jackson is 30, but yes, safeties play damn good into their 30s. That's why the Kansas City Chiefs, I know what's the name, Eric Berry's injured right now, but when he gets back, he's still going to be a Pro Bowl caliber safety. So that's why they signed him to that 6-year deal. You know what I'm saying? Safeties play well long term, so I'm not really worried about that. So it's like, you want players to take a hometown discount, that shit ain't going to happen, y'all. I'm sorry. And I'm seeing a lot of people say restructuring contracts. I mean, restructuring doesn't mean pay cuts, y'all. I hope y'all understand that. I'm pretty sure some of y'all do, but some of y'all don't. Restructuring just means some of the money that they supposed to have for the season, cut that bitch. That don't mean shit. His cap shit is still going to be the, I mean, he might free up a little bit of money, but that shit really just puts you into a deep predicament later on. So it's like, just leave the contracts as they are. Players are not going to be taking hometown discounts. Y'all can forget about this shit. This is a business, bro. Y'all seeing this shit is rare that we see players really take hometown discounts. It's a business, bro. People need to get their check while they can. You don't last too long in this league, so that's all I wanted to say.
All right, Kenneth, man. Got a question.
Yo.
How many shoes you tied today?
0, nigga. Stop playing me.
How many backpacks you carried today?
0, dude.
How many roses and flowers you been passing out?
0.
Okay, good. Your simping is on decline. I'm proud of you. You might be learning something, goddamn. That's a bad. I appreciate you calling in.
Hey, Honcho, I got a question.
All right, what's your question? Anyway, so as I was saying, Ken made some good points on that one, and I definitely agree with what he was saying. That you can restructure the contract to do a couple of things, but it's not like it's going to be. Now I made it all fuzzy. It's not like it's really going to. It's not like you're giving out less money. You know, you may switch the money up to the front end, or convert it into a signing bonus or something of that sort. But it's not like it's going to change the whole game up. And again, like you said, players gonna want their money. And I ain't mad at nobody. I'm gonna tell you, get your motherfucking money, man. get your motherfucking money because this game, man, you ain't guaranteed nothing. I mean, you could be knocked out tomorrow. I don't look like I be doing it the hood way. Hold on. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling into the sauce line this evening?
What's up, Honcho? This is Vince, man.
Vince, what's the motherfucking deal, man? What's going down? What you want to drip on the sauce line tonight?
I just wanted to drop a couple lines, man, about, I really think that it's, as far as the cap and everything and re-signing all these players, I think it's actually going to be fine. And the reason why I think it's going to be fine is because, honestly, man, I really think the Texans are trying to go in the right direction. I mean, I'm a fan of another football team. But looking on the outside end, they look like they're headed in the right direction. I mean, you got to get some more pieces, but with that young quarterback, man, I'm like, my goodness. I mean, if you building around that guy, you got to be going in the right direction. Adding pieces with the line, sign some of your players that you need to sign, and you can go in the draft and add that. But man, this team does have the potential to be a Super Bowl team within maybe a couple of seasons. If they just can get the right pieces, continue to build, keep letting Watson do his thing, develop and all that stuff, man, I think they could be possibly a contender. But, of course, you still got to do the right moves. But let's just be honest. This team is not one of the cellar dwellers. It's not Buffalo. It's not, the Jets. It's not Cleveland. So, I think you just have to look at it that way. And I think, like I said, they're heading in the right direction, man. I just think they got to keep building on it, though.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say.
I definitely agree, man. I appreciate the call, Vince.
All right, man.
All right. Man, I definitely agree. And that's part of it, man. Being able to, again, and that's why I say, man, you gotta let fucking Gain have some time. Okay? Again, dude's been here a couple of months. To me, I have no problems with the moves being made. But at the same time, and I'll be saying, I find it kind of fucked up because to me, I thought, Rick Smith was booted out when he was having his best season as a GM. We got a call coming in. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling into the sauce line this evening?
Honcho, this is Jay Dizzle.
Jay Dizzle, what's the motherfucking deal? What you want to drip on the sauce line tonight?
I got to make some points here.
All right. Give me what you got.
First of all, for some strange reason, I don't know why this shit keep working out this way, but I always end up calling right after Vince calls. So Vince is like, you my lead in, bro. You my fullback in this thing. So I'm supposed to take the ball and run with it.
All right.
I really sincerely thought that I made some headway yesterday, and it's not looking like I did. I came up with some real good arguments. I threw analogies at y'all at. I hit y'all with the gambit. I went back and watched the stream. I seen a lot of people in the chat agreeing with me and some of them disagreeing, which, of course, that's normal. And Honcho, every point I was making, you was shaking your head up and down. You never shook your head side to side.
You made good
Unlike
points.
Mr. Man up in the corner with his little hating ass, but I fuck with you, man. You my nigga anyway. Okay, let's start with this again. I get what... Oh, get the fuck out of here. We're going to start off with, what is your goal for the Texans this season? Okay, it seems like the way you talking is, our goal needs to be to make the playoffs. Now, if you're trying to do the step-by-step thing, I get that. That makes total sense. But we can get to the playoffs first, then we can see where we can go from there. What I'm trying to say is, what do you think the players' goal is?
Okay.
It's Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah.
Of course you got to make it to the playoffs first. That's a given. It's common sense. Everybody knows that. That's not something that you really should have strived for unless you've been, like Vince just said, you was one of the basic teams. We are a playoff team. There's no excuse for us to not make the playoffs. Besides Watson being hurt, because we know we ain't got nothing behind him. That'll just take everything else away. If any one of the other players gets taken out, we can afford to lose them. We cannot afford to lose Watson.
Okay.
That makes perfect sense to me. Okay. Now I'm going to go back with, Jesus Christ, we're doing this again. The Denver game. Everybody keeps saying, oh, win is a win. You get it? Again, of course a win is a win. We
did not make a play to win that game. Can you tell me one play that we made that you said, you know what, that play right there ended that game?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No. I agree with you on that.
What you can say was, can you tell me a play where Denver had the opportunity to win the game? That they could have done it, but they didn't do it. And it wasn't something that the Texans did to them to prevent them from getting it done. Yeah. No. That's exactly what happened. That's what I mean by Denver lost that game. You get credited with the win because you had more points than them at the end. That's perfectly fine. We basically fumbled our way across the finish line, bro. That's basically what we did. We won by pretty much default because they didn't have the talent or the coaching to take that game like they should have, which we fallen victim to that exact same thing sometimes. And you know damn well that right there is not going to get it done. That's the problem. I don't want to be the same team that we've been being. I want us to be better. And that's why I still have a problem because I'm seeing the players starting to make slow improvement, but I'm not really seeing the coach. Like, as soon as B.O.B. looked like he started calling good games, then he comes back with the stinker like, damn, now we back to this shit again. Now I'm going back to what I seen in the chat. I seen somebody comment, and you know what, I ain't mad at you, bro, because I feel the same way. At least we better than the Cowboys. But is that what we're aspiring to be? The Cowboys are terrible. Everybody in the chat, from the top to the bottom, from the most hating motherfuckers to the person that's just sitting there not commenting at all. No, goddamn well we better than the Cowboys. All y'all know we better than the Cowboys. So what the fuck does that have to do with anything really besides having bragging rights? You know we got a better team. You know that. You know we got a better coach. And this is saying a whole lot. We got a better owner. And Jesus Christ, that's what we going with? Really? We got somebody better than fucking Jerry Jones. Whoop-de fucking do. Okay, and as far as our talent, who can really say we don't have one of the top 5 talented teams in the league? But when do we ever finish in the top 5 at the end of the season? So we got the talent. We're not up against the cap. We can even add more people. We can add more talent. So what's the difference? We got the talent. We don't always have the help. I get that. And they're not always available. I get that. But at the same time, you can only play the cards that you dealt. And the unique situation about the NFL is you get to pick your own fucking cards for the most part. So you can't sit up here and say it's always on the players all the time. No, it's the coaching and all the other shit that comes into it. It's all symbiotic. You got to have it all together. If you got one and you don't have the other, it's like you're trying to bake a cake and you got some ingredients but you don't have the other, you're going to fuck the cake up. The cake ain't going to be right. So everything has got to go together. You got to have all the ingredients and you have to know what the fuck you're doing with the ingredients to make the cake exactly what you're trying to make it. Another fucking analogy. Okay, I tried yesterday to go with a school grade analogy with Mr. Man Up. And I didn't think I had to go further with it, which I could have, but it seems like I'm going to have to. The Texans is a C+ team. C+. And I can see a lot of people already saying, oh, here you go with this shit again. The Patriots are 18. Because no matter what, we always consider them at the top of the class. Always. At the beginning of every season, who got Super Bowl aspirations? Everybody always said, you don't pick against the Patriots. Why can't we be that team? Because we haven't showed it. We haven't done it. We haven't proved it. So until we prove it, until we actually show the shit, show the work, put in the work, and make it known on the field, we can't get a higher grade than that. We're not testing out worth a damn. If we do make it to the playoffs, if we do get the win, we won and done. That's it. That's our history. And guess who else has been the same way since we've been in the league? The Dallas Cowboys. We ain't no better than them as far as our performance on the field, what we show, what we do in the playoffs. So we really can't talk that much shit. And we more talented than them. We've been more talented than them. We've had better coaching than them. And we still can't put it together. Now, you can say what you want. I mean, Tom Brady's a motherfucker. I can't stand that bastard, but Tom Brady's a motherfucker. And he kicks our ass. And not only do we lose in the playoffs, we get fucking embarrassed. Like we don't belong. You know how fucking demoralizing that is? Extremely demoralizing. We were better than the Chiefs that year. We should have beaten them. Couldn't put it together. So it's the same thing, rinse and repeat over and over again. Now I want you to think about this a second. If you're still not convinced that it's the coaching, if you just swap one person, if you put Belichick as the head coach of the Texans, and you put Bill O'Brien over there at the Patriots, what would you expect our aspirations to be then? Oh, the whole game changes. The same roster, the same coaching staff, the same ownership, the same everything. It's because you know that with the weapons we got, Belichick will be fucking unstoppable. Yeah, he got Tom Brady, but he got Watson, he got young players, he got a way better defense. Offensive line, not so good. But you know in your heart of hearts that he can scheme a way to make them look better than they actually are. Because that's what Belichick has been doing his whole fucking career damn near, except when he was at Cleveland. That's what he's been doing. That's all coaching. That's just what it is. Got some more notes here. I had to write notes for you motherfuckers. Y'all getting on my nerves and shit. Even with O'Brien, and if you still not, if that didn't do it for you, if you're still not convinced, what does O'Brien say at the end of every game when we lose? I got to coach better. The coaching staff got to coach better. We still got to execute. It comes out of his own mouth. And man up sitting over there just getting damn near red in the face, black as he is, still trying to fight for O'Brien. When O'Brien is admitting to you live on TV and it's proof, I'm not coaching worth a fuck right now. Now you can say, well, he's just saying that as a cliche. Dude, come on. We can fucking see it. If he was doing a better job of coaching, especially on offense, because that's his responsibility, because he don't have an offensive coordinator. How come we don't have plays where guys get schemed open? Does any one of y'all even watch coaches' film? And you saying, well, it could be on the players, the matchups. The players should be able to win the matchup. Sometimes you can win just by scheme. The Patriots do it all the time. They'll take this dude off the street. They'll put his ass in the game. This motherfucker can run for 150 yards, get 3-something touchdowns. You won't even see him the rest of the season. But in that game against that team, he noticed that matchup that dude could win. Put his ass in the game and let him do his thing. And they get it fucking done. We don't do that. We still got more talent. So the excuses have got to stop.
Okay.
Other teams, they force defensive breakdowns. How many times do you see one of our players get wide open? It happens, but it don't happen hardly at all. And you know what that leads to? That leads to red zone inefficiency. When the field is shorter and you're not scheming guys open and they're not able to get open. So if the players ain't even winning the matchup, you can't scheme them to win the matchup. It's hard for you to get points. It's real hard for you to get points. If you I already said that. Okay, I'm done with all that. Now I'm gonna go at a couple of people directly since they actually came out with this. And it's wise citizens. Bro, you was commending me yesterday for everything I was saying. Then I read in the chat that you're gonna mention about the Patriots in the Seahawks Super Bowl, that if the Patriots was mad that they decided not to run on the 1-yard line. No, of course not. You want to know what the difference is? Malcolm Butler said it himself. We've been practicing against this play. Belichick had it set up to where they knew what the fuck was going on if that play ever showed up. What is that again? It's the same fucking thing. Coaching. He was coached up. That's how he jumped the fucking route. He knew it was coming in the fucking Super Bowl, the game of all games. And if you want to go back to the Denver game and say, well, and I'm going to go at Kennedy, said that it was just a bad matchup for the Broncos. Who the Broncos got? They got Von Miller. He can win against our O-line all day long. I'll give him that. They got Chris Harris. He's a damn good cornerback. But Hopkins can beat any corner in the league. Can't really give him that. They got Chubb out there. He's just a fucking pup. He's good, but he's a pup. He's still got a well-learned, so you can find a way to take advantage of him. And they got a good running back over there. you can scheme against that too. You can stop the fucking run. We got a damn good front seven. There was no reason for us to be giving up runs like that. It's just not. So what else do the Broncos got? Do the Broncos got some kind of identity? No. Do we have an identity? No. What do we have? Deshaun Watson. That's all we got. We got all these other weapons. We got Hopkins. We got all this. All we got is Deshaun. It's Deshaun or bust. It's got to be better than that. It's got to be better than that. And it's all on coaching. There's no other way around it. You can look at it and try to make excuses for it all you want to. It's not working the way it should. And when it does work, when Deshaun was doing his thing last season, even they were saying it. Bill O'Brien was like, you know what? I just opened it up. I just opened it up, dude. Let the dude shine. What is Deshaun? He's very mobile. He's a pocket QB, but he can roll out too. He ain't been doing that lately. The few games where he was rolling out and making throws, dude, you can't fucking stop him because if it's not open, he can take off running. He can go get it. Now, you could also say, well, they got good defensive ends. So if we roll out, you got big-ass tight ends. You can roll out toward Chubb's side. You can chip in with these big fucking smaller tackles that we got at tight ends just to get Deshaun to the outside. Let him make a decision from there. If it's not there, pull it down and go get it, throw it away, or go ahead and complete the pass. Because we got receivers that can win. Denver don't have some kind of awesome secondary. They got one good corner. The other guys are relatively good players. Ain't no excuses there. We should be beating the hell out of teams, bro. And we not doing it. It's like we showing mercy on team. I don't know. No, hell no. And right now I'm wearing a merciless jersey. We should be fucking merciless. And we not. O'Brien got this Boston attitude, but he don't coach with the same attitude that he presents to the fans. I don't like that. I get tired of seeing him on press conferences with his fucking head down. Well, you know, we got, and making excuses every time. Well, we gotta, you know, no, fuck that. You know what? How about I'm gonna handle my business this week. Next week, we finna bust some ass. That's what we finna do. That's the kind of mentality we know he's capable of, but for some reason, it seemed like he even reining himself in. I don't know if it's that he's overworked, he got too much on his plate, and if that's the case, dude, hire a fucking offensive coordinator, bro. Take some of that shit off of you, and you can focus more on the details, because that's a lot of things that's what's killing us also. We losing on the details, the false starts and all that old shit. You need to get, and if they're not capable of holding their water for a fucking snap count, they don't need to be on the fucking team. That's not going to win us no game. And it keeps hurting us at the worst possible time, bro. We got to get it together. What the hell are you doing in practice all this time? What are you practicing? Where's the game plan? When you really watch our game, you see the plays that he calls. Can you even see what he's trying to do? Anybody. I challenge anybody to tell me, can we really see what he's trying to do? Well, how is he trying to attack the defense? Nobody can say that. Nobody, because it seems like all the time, the defense is attacking us. We're offense. The word is to be offensive. You're supposed to go at them. It seems like we just kind of counteract what they're doing, and sometimes not even that. We running into the fucking brick wall. We can do so much better, bro. And I'm not saying that there's a better coach out there, because I know a lot of y'all saying that. I was leaning on the Bill O'Brien train, but I was like, okay, he got to show me something. Where's the improvement? We taking these losses, but they close. So it's not like we just getting embarrassed like Dallas did last night. They got fucking embarrassed at their home turf. And, I swear to God, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I became a Bayern fan yesterday when that motherfucker stood on that star, bro, and just let his nuts drop in front of all them motherfuckers on them big ass screens up there, bro. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I like that dude. I wish we had somebody that had the nuts to do that on our team in Texas Stadium, but I really don't think we do. I really don't. And of course that ain't gonna win you no championship. I get that, but I can't lie. As a fan of football and as a fan of that mentality, I fucking love that shit. And I don't like the Titans, bro, but I like that dude. I really do. I'm gonna leave it at that. If I ain't changed y'all minds by now, it's not gonna happen. I'm not going to even try no more, but I'm going to keep putting up my argument because I ain't got nothing else to do. I'll let you.
All right, that's a bet. Appreciate the call, Jay. Just going to take this next call real quick, and I'm going to expand on it. I've been taking notes, so I'm going to make sure I address all the calls. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling in on the sauce line this evening?
What up, Honcho? It's Vince again, man.
Vince, what you got, baby?
Hey, I want to ask you a question, man, expand on one thing that Jay Dizzle was talking about, man, just now. And one thing I want to ask you what your opinion was is when he was talking about the offensive coordinator, you know, and one good example you could look at as North Turner is tearing it up with the Carolina Panthers. He's running all kind of schemes. You know, the dynamic of Cam Newton, you've got the players. They look really good with the offensive coordinator. So my question to you is, you know, who would you like to see as possibly, you know, like if we hired, if the Texans hired an offensive coordinator, who would you like to see with Watson? Because with Watson, man, being such a dynamic quarterback, man, like Dizzle was saying, you know, trust him with the ball on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, play action, get him on a bootleg and all that stuff. So I want to know what your personal thoughts was about, you know, an offensive coordinator that can really, I mean, because, you know, for some reason, Bill's not calling those plays when he should call them with Watson, and Watson's dynamic to do it. So I just want to know what your thoughts were about that, man.
Okay. That's a bet. I'll definitely address that. I appreciate your call.
All right.
Bet that. All right. Let me pause the sauce line for a second because we've got a couple of calls, got several points that need to be addressed, and I want to make sure everybody gets their due diligence. Everybody gets their calls addressed, and then I'll answer some of these texts, and then we'll get back at it. All right. Let's see. Start off with Kenneth. Kenneth was talking about hometown discounts. We talked about that briefly. Vince was talking about building around Deshaun, Texans heading in the right direction, and then he asked about the offensive coordinator situation. If we talk about who's available, I'm not against a guy like Haley. I like Haley. I think it would be a very interesting change of pace. I think that you got to have somebody who's seen it with a successful organization, and I think he just kind of got the shaft. So I wouldn't be opposed to entertaining a situation like that if we're talking about who's currently available. And I'd have to really take a look around and see who else is available. I'm just thinking about recent firings that I would entertain. Kubiak is like a scout for Denver right now. So he over there, he in the Denver offices doing some other shit. So he fucking with whatchamacallit. But again, I have to see who else is available to really get deep into that one. But I mean, that's just what comes to mind right now. I would entertain it because I think that he could do something. And Jay Dizzle had several valid points, and that's what I want to get to. I want to address the multitude of points that Jay Dizzle left. And now here's the thing. And again, my point is, my point is, I'm not saying that this is going to be a Super Bowl successful team. He was very right when he says, what is the player's mentality? Super Bowl or bust. What you got to do to get there is first get to the playoffs. We were in a situation where we were 0-3. Nobody was even having a conversation about the playoffs. Nobody was thinking playoffs. Motherfuckers was jumping ship on this team. Motherfuckers was done. I ain't fucking with the Texans no more. I'm done. I'm over with. I'm through with them. And then now we back in the conversation. Some of the same camp is like, this is the greatest team ever. You know what it is, whatever it may be. Let's see. So the player's goal is that. The only team we can't afford to lose is Watson, but at the same time, I don't think we can afford to lose Hopkins either, because I think that he is essential. I think that Hopkins has made some of those receptions what they are, because Deshaun is not always the most accurate. I think you look at that situation in the game where we're talking about plays that were missed. How many plays did we see that could have sealed the deal? Had Deshaun put that ball in front of Hopkins, I feel like that's a play that seals the deal. Instead, you up the degree of difficulty. We expect Hopkins to catch everything, you know, and I mean we've gotten so used to that. But there's been a few of them where he's upped the degree of difficulty for those catches unnecessarily. And my thing is that another point that we brought in earlier, they're saying, I know a lot of people say, well, let's just unleash Watson. what happens when Watson gets unleashed behind this offensive line? What happens when Watson gets unleashed? What happens is the same shit that happened in Dallas, where Watson gets broken half trying to make plays. And I understand you want to get in the end zone. I'm not mad at that. I love the attitude. But you got to, what's the song? You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. You know what I'm saying? And that type of situation is he's a gamer. And there's nothing wrong with being a gamer. He's willing to put it all on the line every time. But in the long run, that shit is not essential for this fucking team. Because what was happening when he was trying to do too much? When I think of Watson, sometimes when I think of letting Watson loose, I think of that fucking pass right at halftime against the fucking Bills, where you basically just throwing it up to any and nobody. Who was that? Was that Vincent? Was that the one he threw to Vincent Smith, or was it another one he threw to Vincent Smith in double coverage? That's what letting Watson loose gets you. So I think Bill is doing the right thing by reining him in. You ask what was Bill's plan of action. Bill tries to establish the run to try to open up that play action. And when that run is not successful, when you're losing yards negatively, I think that's where his problem lies, is because he doesn't have an adjustment for that. So if you're not gaining yards on the first down, I think that's where he starts to fuck it up. That's where he starts to kind of, falling apart. And I think that is an issue. That's something that does have to be addressed. But Bill is looking to set up that play action. He's looking to run, and set up that play action. Again, I have no problem. Vince Smith was Titans game. Okay, that was Lamar Miller. Okay, appreciate that. Almost even worse because Lamar's shorter. But still, I mean, that's two different instances, though. You know what I mean? Shit, the Vincent Smith one and then the Lamar Miller one. That's what happens when you let Watson just do his own thing. So I think Watson has to be reined in to an extent and then allowed to do certain things. Like this whole belief in just let Watson go. I can't subscribe to that one. I love Watson. I love what he brings to the table. Trust me, especially if after the Schaubs, the Carrs, the Rosenfels, any other litany of names that you mean. I don't even want to. I can't even go down the rest of the DeAndre's list. But my thing is, he's not at a point yet. Wasn't this just was that the 15th or the 16th game that he just played? So that's what he's almost. I think the next will be the 16th. And again, he's given the leeway to audible out of plays, and that's what people don't even realize. There's been some of these mistakes, some of these plays that he's audibled into that have created problems too. But everybody, again, that's on play calling, but you're giving your quarterback the leeway. That's the one thing, like I said, you stated about Kubiak. Schaub could never audible. Schaub never audibled out of any of the plays because it was what Kubiak called. Now, I will agree with you when you talk about practice. And this is something that I've heard a lot of people say, people who've attended practice and gone to practice. The difference in a guy like Kubiak would practice the same thing over and over and over and over until it was ran to perfection. I think what you get with Bill O'Brien, and I talk about being too smart for his own good. We talk about how Watson mentioned early in the season that guys were overthinking shit. Was that he tries to get too complicated. He tries to get too creative, and he's not spending the time on the basis. So I will agree with you on that he's not spending time on the basics, on the foundation of what these guys need to do. And I think that's what leads to those false starts. I'll agree with you on that. That's what leads to the bad plays because you got guys thinking too much, trying to make sure they're doing the right shit on the plays. I think you look at this game, and again, a lot of it was trying to bring in Demaryius Thomas and do some things. You look late in that game, a lot of execution can be pointed to a lot of pieces. Now you can say, well, don't have DT in that game. But then you take away that threat that he provides. I would like to see the tight ends get utilized more. I think there are other weapons that we could target, that we could utilize. But my thing is, if you let him learn, you're letting the team burn. Because you letting him learn, there's going to be some great plays, but there's going to be plays where, it's going to put us in a bad position. Or, again, potentially like that Dallas situation, he takes one or two more of those hits, it's a wrap. I mean, shit, he was barely huffing. He was barely getting it. Like, I almost didn't think he was going to come in at, excuse me, pardon me, in overtime in that situation. Because he just looked like he looked like at the end of that game he couldn't have ran if he wanted to. Now, the Bills game, he said if he wanted to, he could have, but he chose not to. But my thing is, I think that, again, we know what he's capable of. We know what he's able to do. But I think one of those big pieces, one of those key pieces that allowed him to do that was Will Fuller. And with Will Fuller being gone, I think it's a whole new situation. You're trying to acclimate to something different. And again, so I will agree with you, though, that coaching ultimately is where it all lies. And I'll say that. I've said that before because I've talked about coaching is the discipline. Coaching is who you're playing and putting in and who you are putting on the field. But at the same time, these guys get paid. And it's a point where you only have so much talent on the team at one time. And sometimes you're put in a situation where, well, shit, we ain't got nobody else to play. We have no other option but to play this guy because this is all we have. As far as lineman talent, find them on the streets, you know, it ain't shit out there right now. It might not be shit in free agency next year. So it's going to be very interesting. Now, I could agree with you. Now, hey, if everything is just falling apart, but then I think that you have that risk factor. Okay, nothing's working. We're in a situation where, you know, it could go right, it could go wrong. We could let Watson loose. There's a potential for score. There's a potential for turnover. It's almost, I won't say equal. I think I would say 60-40 depending on how you let him go. But, I mean, at the same time, you know, I just don't think that you could really, I'm not with it because, again, because what I'm looking at is not even just him making plays, and I'm not saying he won't make plays, he will make plays. But the risk of him getting hit, the hits that he takes to make those plays, that's my concern because ultimately that hurts the team in the long term. So I think that's what it is. You know what I mean? I'll agree with you. An identity. You mentioned that. You definitely mentioned that. And I agree with you. I've said that from the beginning that this team doesn't have an identity. Like, you know, it kind of goes back and forth. But at the same time, I think that he wants to establish the run, but I don't think we have the Road Raiders up front to make that happen. Let's see. I do agree with you on a lot of people wanting to be just better than the Cowboys, and that's not the mark. You know, when you think like that, you still think that means you still believing that they America's team. Cowboys ain't been shit since the Texans have been making the playoffs, so that's definitely not the level that you want to up it to. One and done. That Kansas City game, yeah. I mean, I just got to put that on Hoyer. That shit was just unacceptable. The point you made about trading a Bill for Bill, and I agree with you completely. On if you traded Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick is going to do whatever it takes to get the victory. Bill Belichick's a conniving, undercutting. He gonna put a fucking camera in your mama bathroom if he thinks she know your playbook. So he's going to do whatever it takes to get the win. So I think that the Belichick one is, I'll agree with you on that one. Valid point. And I agree with, like I say, even when you were talking the other day, I do agree with you. But my thing is this, and this is what I'm saying. This is what you got to comprehend. There's two levels to this argument. Level one is we can be happy about the win. We don't have to like how it happened. The win and the playing are two different things. So my thing is this. What's the outcome you want for your team? Ultimately, no matter how it happened, no matter if it's 3-0, if it's 2-0, you want your team to get the win. That's what it is. So my thing is, I'm happy about coming out of that game, as ugly as the fuck it was, with a victory. Now, are there things that need to be fixed? Absolutely. A shit ton of shit that needs to be fixed for this team, for this shit if we're going to compete with the big dogs, the guys who will constantly put up numbers, if we're going to make it to the playoffs and have to see the Patriots again without Will Fuller, and get put in another situation with that. That's what I'm saying. So I was like, was it ugly? Yeah, but I'll take my thing is, I'm going to let my happiness for the win overlook, because ultimately we got out of this week with the W. Now let's look forward. What do we have to fix? But we can look at this with a light heart as opposed to being, we fucking just got blasted and now this. And that's my take on it. So, I mean, I understand this team is not living up to this team. We saw this team last year averaging 35 points a game, number one offense in the league for a period. We saw this team doing everything that Kansas City was doing and then some. And I know that's what we want. But at the same time, we got way more wins right now than we did in that time frame. And I'll take those wins over the rankings and the look. Now, it's going to come down to it when you get to the playoffs. That's where all the teams that are scoring are going to be. So, yeah, you have to come up with something. You have to adjust. You have to have something in mind by that time. But I think that, like I say, so that's why I say most of the points that you make, I agree with you on. And it's not about accepting the mediocrity. My situation is we're relevant at this point in time. Let's be happy about that. And we're relevant knowing that we have not executed to our full potential. So knowing that there's still something in store, knowing that we saw it happen in Miami. And again, that's the only team that we've beaten with a winning record. But again, we played against some teams with some solid defenses. We played against some teams that can put some pressure on you. But yet, we've able to get out of those situations, as piss poor some of this shit has been, and still look, I'm a fan of the hairy asshole. You already know shit. Look, I graduated UGK. You already know what it is. But my thing is this. You know, if you keep it, look, you know, some niggas got to pay that stripper. Some niggas got the mouthpiece, you know, to get up out all the way up out them clothes. Some niggas got to go in the VIP and they got to, you know, break a little bread to get that stripper to show them everything. Some niggas can talk about their clothes. What we have to ultimately find out during this bye week, and again, another favorable situation with what the Redskins are going through, is going to be interesting to see what happens with that, is ultimately, can Bill O'Brien talk that bitch out of her clothes? Or are we going to have to pay for that bitch to come up out them clothes? And paying is not the way you want to do it, because that means there's going to be a situation that's unfavorable happening. And again, like I say, I look at it like this. We talk about all the years B.O.B. been here. That shit don't mean shit to me, because where are any of those quarterbacks right now being successful? Fitzpatrick, going back for Fitzpatrick in the same game, he'll throw you 5 touchdowns, he'll be Fitzmagic, and then at the same time, he'll be Fitztragic. We didn't see him go from that, you know, in the same situation. And again, I'm not knocking Fitzpatrick. I liked Fitzpatrick when he was here. But it's a situation where you're going to gamble, well, okay, is the future of our franchise on an older guy who's shown that he can be, you know, on opposite ends of the spectrum at some time? I don't knock anybody for not being confident in that. I mean, he went to whatchamacallit. He initially started was because Jameis out there touching Uber drivers. Then eventually what happened? They yanked him, put Jameis back in, realized Jameis, he ain't shit but good for stealing some crab legs for the team dinner, and, you know, put Fitzpatrick back in. My thing is, I look at Bill O'Brien with a quarterback. When you look at a quarterback, that we have a quarterback that you say you could put on any team and this guy will be successful, and that's Deshaun Watson. That's the first one that's been here. Savage been trash, even though that's a guy that he was trying to groom. The 17 signing, that ain't had nothing to do with Bill O'Brien. That was upper management, and again, whoever signed off on that. But ultimately, when he had initially, and we saw those flashes, that gave me hope. But what's going on this year, yeah, it definitely makes you question some things. It definitely makes you wonder, like, what was happening last year that's not happening this year? And again, that's where I get to that point about, I think Bill O'Brien tries to overcomplicate shit. And I can agree with you about, you know, letting Watson play, but I think that you have to put him in a situation, you have to put him in a playbook that caters to his strengths. But if you try to let him play under what Bill O'Brien wants to do, then I think it's going to be an issue. But again, hopefully they have some time in this bye week. Hopefully, you know, hey, they can get together with Hop and DT and Lamar and everybody, like, have a players only meeting or whatever the fuck they need to do. You know what I'm saying? And figure out how to put points on the board, because we're getting to the point where, yes, this is where B.O.B. success is, or he's been better after the bye week. He's been decent after the bye week and all that other good stuff. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens from here on out, because, again, the potential for the Texans to run the table is there. I'm not going to count on it. 13 straight is a difficult task, but the possibilities are there. Everything's being set up there, but I only want to look at 1 week at a time because, you know, injuries and things happen. But again, man, I'm just telling you, it's going to be something to watch. And I mean, I agree with you that we got a Lambo, and right now we putting regular unleaded in that bitch. You know what I'm saying? And that hoe ain't going to perform properly. And you keep doing that shit, you're going to need some unscheduled maintenance on that motherfucker pretty soon. You know what I'm saying? So, what? Yeah, that's why somebody gave it underwear. But we got a couple of texts. I'm going to take these couple of texts, and then we're going to get ready to wrap it up, because I got a couple of things I got to take care of. Actually, went a little bit longer than planned. But I want to address these, and then I want to shout out to y'all. Let me see what we got. And I'm glad you mentioned this. mentioned this because I didn't want to talk about it. I did have it in my notes to talk about. Bruce Ellington got signed by the Lions. They got rid of Abdullah. And so I think that's shout out to him because I said that when he got cut that I said that he would end up. I think I said in the recorded video that when they cut him for the various times that Bruce Ellington, he had some veteran presence, so he'll not saying veteran in that sense, but he's been around enough that he would find another job, and so that makes you kind of wonder that whole situation on him being on IR and how that pans out. Okay, we got a text that says, Honcho, one thing I didn't like about the Sunday convo, how everyone was bashing the coaching. A win is a win. Still trying to figure out why Smith is still on the roster. I feel we never should have got rid of Jay Prosh at fullback. The man opened up holes, and if I was Lamar Miller, I would go to OB and tell him what he likes best. He needs to be used on stretch plays and screen plays a little more. I agree. I mean, again, we talked about that. Getting him to the outside is where his strengths are. Getting him to the outside is where he thrives. That's where he finds success. But the thing with Prosh is, even if he was on this roster, he wouldn't be getting utilized, and that's the thing. I forgot what the percentage was, but it was a very small percentage of plays that he was getting utilized on. Talking about Vincent Smith, and Vincent Smith is supposed to be that, excuse me, that speedster, but yet we've hardly seen him used because again, all the plays, any plays that have gone to him have not fared out very well, So I think that's what it is. What is our record without Deshaun Watson? Oh, we ain't winning nothing. We ain't winning up nothing. if we're talking about running the way we're running, you're talking about with a. I'm not gonna lie and say we ain't winning nothing. Whedon is a serviceable quarterback. Whedon has won us some games in a Texans uniform, but we're not 6-3 right now. We're looking like. We might be like. I'm not gonna get a whole set. I'm saying up until this point, the way that we play, excuse me, we might be 3-6, 4-5, somewhere in that conversation right now. Now I ain't gonna crack the line today. I'm gonna go call it a wrap because I've actually gone longer than I planned on going. But this is what we're gonna do. I appreciate the text. I appreciate the calls because I'm definitely behind the 8 ball. But here's the deal. I appreciate y'all. I fucks with y'all. I got to get up out of here because I told myself I was only going to do a solid hour, and then I'd have went over about 40 minutes and some shit. I didn't even realize all that. But I appreciate all the calls. I appreciate everybody coming through. Like I say, we'll get the roundtable back in the mix this week. Just want to keep it fresh because, like I say, it ain't really a whole lot of news. I'm sure there'll be something here and there, but it just ain't a whole lot shaking right now, so we don't want to continue just repeating the same things over and over, so it'll be a little bit fresher as we get on. We'll have Rockets pregame tomorrow, and we'll be in the den at 10, and we'll see what's going on with this whole situation. So here's the deal, man. I appreciate each and every one of y'all, man. Make sure y'all slide by StaySaucy.com. Telling y'all big things coming. Like I said, I had to take a little time off yesterday because I'm telling you, I got some good shit coming. Like I say, we finna get real legit with this shit. But y'all stay tuned, man. Y'all keep being fresh ingredients. Y'all keep being the freshest motherfuckers in the world. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. With that being said, I'm chugging up the deuce. I got to get up out of here, man. But I thank y'all for fucking with the flavor, man. Y'all stay saucy. I'm out.